So just hit on got it or continue, and please stay with us. Otherwise, you will leave this session. Okay, so welcome to this session. As you already know, the Interreg project, Ocean Power Innovation Network, and the Scottish Enterprise are offering us today this wonderful framework and the opportunity to talk and learn about blockchain and the opportunities it really represents for the marine industry in general. Today, myself, Denisa Givovic, Director of Blue Room Innovation, and where we work with blockchain, looking for ways on how to apply it to sustainable solutions, and Professor Pepe Luis de la Rosa, an internationally recognized expert in artificial intelligence, blockchain, crypto, and its application. It's one of the pioneers, I would say, who many years before the blockchain was such a hype as it is today, was already working on it and spreading the word about it. So before I go into the content, just one remark. After the session, you will receive the PowerPoint presentation, all the materials, all the content shared today, together with a very short form, just to pick up your basic data and be able to organize the one-to-one meetings with each of you interested in knowing more, applying blockchain to your own solutions, or whatever detail you would like to discuss in a one-to-one session. So I will repeat this again at the end of this session, but please take into account that we have this opportunity, and the time framework is, let's say, from tomorrow to the end of March. So we are really happy to have this opportunity to talk also one-to-one with each of you. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we will focus on challenges and the benefits of blockchain for marine industry in general. We will go into the topics of waste management, enhanced circularity. We will see this technological advantage and the uniqueness of this technology related to immutability, transparency, or for traceability. We will also see this collective nature of blockchain, which makes it so adaptable for circularity. And such a great challenge, to coordinate many players in the marine industry to build valuable automated solutions on the top of the core features of blockchain. We will also take a look to explore a bit renewable energy and reverse and direct supply chain management of offshore energy, which requires, as you know, processing of large amount of data and effective traceability and visibility. And this is where we think that blockchain provides a real opportunity. So let's start. Before going into learnings, let's take a look on the current challenges in the marine industry and where we could see the opportunities for blockchain. When we mention shipping congestion, we're probably not mentioning anything new to anyone of you, and we see quite many people who come from marine industry, so you know about this issue and how it is actually increasing, the different delays in unexpected costs, and as well international container shortages. So it is in this sense increasingly important really to have a digital platform streamlining all these logistics and creating an ecosystem whereby parties in the supply chain can really seamlessly interact. So that's like a great wish. I'm sure that many of you think that is exactly what is needed. You know that port congestion is, let's say, one of the elephants in the room. So it's really frustrating for many of the involved parties, for the traders, for the logistical service providers, for shipping lines, for the entire ecosystem and for the road transport industry alike. So it affects productivity. It has major financial implications as well as health and safety concerns for the road industry participants. For example, we are talking about delays of hours, but not only of hours, we're talking about delays of days, which have been reported when collecting or delivering containers, let's say, into and out of the ports. And you always hear promises, no, that everything will get better, but it's actually not getting as much better as it could be expected if we think about the general technological development. And what happens is really a lot of blaming between everyone is blaming everyone else. It's difficult to find reliable information. The current port community system is quite centralized, and as well as a working approach and process approach, so the functioning is not really optimal. On the other hand, blockchain really represents a great opportunity, because when you look on some of the data we are sharing here with you, the Digital Container Shipping Association, for example, estimates that blockchain-powered electronic bills of lading could generate savings of over 4 billion euro per year, which is a huge saving. The combining of blockchain with IoT is forecast to grow to over 300 million euro by the year 2024. And these advantages go further. Let's take a look on the World Trade Organization and its estimation. The World Trade Estimation estimates the removal of barriers in the supply chain would increase the global GNP by 5% and the volume of international trade by even 15%, which is quite promising. Furthermore, this technology promises a controlled claims rate, less costly insurability of the fleet, as well as more controlled claims management. According to a report which lays back in 2016, seems far away now, by Goldman Sachs Bank, global financial markets and the legal industry could even save up to 12 billion US dollars per year by streamlining the clearing and the settlement of cash securities through use of blockchain. And more savings through the transfer of real estate securities to large distributed registers of between $2 and $4 billion. So we see the blockchain is like a real promise now for a better future for the entire industry. So today our idea is to structure this session in 3 blocks. In the first block, you will hear about, let's say, it's more introductory part where we talk about what blockchain actually is, where the trends go, what about the applicability, where we see it, what's the fit in the marine industry, and so on. In the second part, but then we'll make a very short break. Actually, you are invited over the entire session, please, to comment and ask questions or make remarks at the end. It should be more dialogue here, than just the presentation. So you are welcome to comment, and we will take just a short break to see if there are any relevant feedbacks, and then continue really with the blockchain already in the marine industry. What is applied, where is it applied, how it works, the different topics related to smart ports, the reverse supply chain, circularity, and real examples. And in the third block, then open the discussion and go into any open questions. So Professor Del Rosa, I will give you now the word, and let's hear your vision about blockchain.
Thank you, Denisa. Thank you. Let's move on to the topic. The thing is that we are sorry about how blockchain is being evolving as a process of post-digital evolution. Let's take an example of the disc industry, the music industry. You know, all these devices, these vinyl discs that were analog technology years ago, for decades ago, where we were invited to digitize this, to substitute its digital support with these CDs that were the promise that the music would last longer and would be even better quality. It didn't happen, it did, because the sampling process that suffered music was not improving the quality, even getting worse. But the thing is that once this process was fulfilled, then something magic happens. This, the digitization process per se was not that providing them that many fruits. Sorry. But then the transformation into service happened with when you turned online, like services like Spotify or services like Shazam or for detect or lyrics, all these services that were using new tools over online and streamlining the music. It was a total transformation of the music into service. And this was a disruption. But this didn't stop there. Now, Spotify, a few years ago, acquired companies for the blockchain technology. Why? Because then was the time to disrupt the music industry, to introduce automation in terms of rights management, so that any music provider and any creator could upload directly without intermediaries, without middlemen, the music on Spotify or these streaming live platforms, and sell and collect immediately the royalties from years that happened before this this disruption to even hours that is the time delay that they collect their royalties. This is a terrific transformation that is always only possible because of the previous substitution by digital support and transformation into service, that now blockchain has the chance to, as a post-digital technology, to move ahead with a real value. Of course, when the contracts in the music industry has so many types of rights and that huge difficulty, that conflicting interests and rights collusion, then AI techniques are necessary to introduce flexibility. So AI goes after the blockchain over the curated data that blockchain contributes. This is the evolution is happening, and then the projection is when you are trying to see how this would fit with the shipping, with maritime industry. So the maritime industry is somewhat following the same path of digitization, all those papers that are turning into digital objects, digital content that is connected online. That's the moon. This is already providing very many benefits, but now we are facing ahead the same moon, the same idea of after this digitization, then is the time for blockchain to introduce the same disruptions that the music industry and other industries are benefiting from. So this is a little bit the thing. We go ahead for the blockchain, for value management, and then AI for introducing flexibility, automation, and all these extra benefits. So this is a little bit the path is following. For that, we need to introduce a lot about blockchain. So blockchain is that such a disruptive technology that ensures provenance. So to put it plainly, validates something that was done at a certain point in time. With this knowledge, participants in the network could prove things beyond a shadow of doubt. This has the power to avoid corruption and unlock more collaboration and better potential to back automation to unprecedented levels. To explain blockchain, as blockchain was born with Bitcoin, let me give you a brief introduction to money, and then you will understand how this disruption of blockchain represents. Money, in fact, is an information system. Money was invented over 5,000 years ago, at the time that writing technology was invented. In fact, the invention of writing was not for art, it was for transactions, for right transactions of civil servants that in markets were transcripting, writing transactions between merchants, those who were going to a market that they were selling their goods, and they received the promise to receive grain and other products when they were collected in the crop time. So the thing is, at the beginning of this introduction of this technology, that a merchant get there and received a couple of copies of sludge with transcriptions regarding a ledger that the civil servant was writing to have a copy of all transactions and pending transactions to be executed. Then let's imagine at the beginning when a merchant went to the market and after delivering goods, delivering cattle, they receive stones. With some strange signs that only those who had skilled technology, all those who were instructed, were able to understand. At the beginning, the distrust was total, the shock was total, but they were getting used after days or weeks when went back to the market and they delivered these pieces of sludge, argile. Then the servant checked in the ledger, and that is a key word. So we need to fix it in your mind, the ledger, the place where all transactions were written. So they after checking this, then the silver honored the rights that this merchant had, and the merchants were fascinating. The more and more they were trusting the system, and they were trust so much the system that even merchants start trading each other with these stones. Instead of going to the market, because they really believed, they trusted the system to be honored at the market, whatever rights they could claim with these stones. So that was the beginning of money. Of course, after 5,000 years, money had suffered a strong evolution. That we stopped having stones, then we had coins, metals, and then we had banknotes, and then electronic money. But all these years, always money have been in this evolution of the support has been always the same principle. One ledger, somebody were accessing this ledger, and the one who had the access to this ledger had the power of the money supply, and this information system has been always centralized. Now with blockchain. With Bitcoin, blockchain introduces a new concept, a disruption, is the decentralization. So it was born to secure the transactions of a new currency that at the beginning, the same happened with those sludge stones 5,000 years ago. At the beginning, nobody trusted Bitcoin. It only was the trust was built up along years and years of usage and confirmation that it was secure, and it was partly a strong part of this adoption was based on the strength of this technology of blockchain. Because blockchain, what does is decentralize the ledger. The ledger that at the beginning was centralized, only one had the access. Now we have that this access, many people or nodes, if this is automated, have access, or they have a copy, a real copy of the ledger. So how it works when you want to send money from one to another in the world of Bitcoin and blockchain, they are not accounts numbers, but wallets. The wallet is an address. So you want to send money from address A to address B. It's just a simple operation. Just simply what you do is you subtract the funds from A and you add the funds to B. It's an operation of subtraction and addition. Okay, so once this simple operation is written in a book, in this technology is a block. It's like a full leaf on the ledger. Then when the block is full of on transactions, they are validated. Validated means that they need to be checked regarding the ledger if there is provided there are funds enough for executing these transactions. This validation, being many ledgers, is done with several nodes at a time, several copies of the ledger. When you accumulate several validations, positive validations, in the case of the blockchain protocol is 6, not here 5 represented, but 6. When you accumulate 6 validations, it means that 6 ledgers checked the transactions are correct, then this block is added to the chain, to the blockchain, and then I explain you how. And when this happens, magically, the money is moving from A to B. This is how it happens. Of course, this is the disruptions that in the former times, there was only one copy. Now we have many copies. And this that looks like something complicated, and it is complicated, sophisticated technology, is the foundation of the decentralized approaches that are disrupting the industries. So you have here how blocks are built up. Every block, you have all transactions. Remember that transactions is the data that is being checked and validated. And this data has a data timestamp. And at every block, you introduce a block identification. It's like a numeration of every block. For this, you use a secure hash algorithm. That is that it works simply as a method that introduces a simplification, a code to every content. That's an example. That's a calculator. I have it here. So you have here introduce whatever data. For example, today, May 10, 2022. There is a class with great people. All right then. So this is the content. I want to generate a hash. Hash is, in this case, is 206 bits. I calculate the hash. You see the hash. This hash is unique. Means that all this content, all this data is summarized. Whatever size of this data is summarized with this hash. So keep this hash because it changed to any slight modification of the information changes. Let's have a look at the last 3 or 4 figures of digits 9399 of this hash, because it will be easier to compare with the next hash I want to change. Let's imagine that I change something. For example, I change the date of this Masterclass, and I calculate a new hash. Remember, the last were 9399. If I generate a new hash, it changed radically. It's totally different. You see, it changes is simply because I changed 1 digit. If I restore the information, then the hash is restored. So I think the hash is unique. You see, 9399. So, but even the slightest change, let's imagine I add a space. That is something, it's very difficult to spot. Again, there will be a radical change. What does it mean? That the hash is unique. It's unique, and the slightest minor change to the information, it creates a new hash. This is what happens in blockchain, because the hash is the one that is being used to identify every block. It means that the block, you have all transactions, then you apply that algorithm. Here, for the sake of simplification, I've used a shorter hash of only 24 bits, but for explain the concept is enough. So once you have this hash, you start a new block beginning with the hash of the previous block. That's the chaining process. Then you write all the transactions, you validate. Once validated with the consensus, you create a new hash. That is the hash of the former hash and all transactions. And you start again the new block. Again, transactions, you calculate new hash with the former hash and the transactions and chain and chain and chain. That's the way you chain all. And why it's changed? Because let's imagine that I made a transaction here, and every time I make a transaction of one Bitcoin to another else, I erase the transaction so that I restore my balance. This is called double spending, and that's fraud. But imagine I can do it. If I had one central ledger, I could do it. I have the power. But if I do it on blockchain, what happens is that immediately the hash of this block changes. As you see, I've seen it in the demonstration before. And when this changes, there's you see that's a discrepancy of this hash and the next hash of the block. And this is what happens when the blockchain is broken. So here with the system, we have a nice solution to detect changes, tampering, changing the nature of the data. And when it's detected, we don't know exactly the reason of the change, but we know that this block is corrupted. And so the way the blockchain restores is that then you go to all the copies you have over the network and you collect several copies and make consensus. When you find 5 copies or 6 copies identical, you take one of them, and the result is that you restored the original data. And so this is what is talked about the blockchain, how it defends from attacks, so that the data in the blockchain is immutable and cannot change according to interest of any particular player. So that's the thing. The blockchain is a read-only peer-to-peer distributed ledger. Ledger is the key, but distributed ledger containing encrypted information structured in blocks. This is what you see. The importance of this is that you have in a decentralized way, you have the security that's is resilient to attacks. To any attacks of any interest, because somebody wants to change the data. You're in supply chain. You have your database where your delivery dates and times are tracked, but then you delivered late and you want to prove that you did it on time. Then you change the database. Of course, the database of the client might be different, so there are discrepancies. Who is the one who has the right information? So this type of things, blockchain goes to the rescue, because then we have a unique point of information where everybody can trust, because cannot be tampered. Of course, it depends on the degree of decentralization. The more resilient is, the more network, the more nodes, the more resilient. And when you have very many copies and very many nodes, of course, you have scalability issues. So it's called the blockchain trilemma that is happening. And of course, many solutions trying to speed up the process of blockchain. That blockchain has been very powerful for the security through the centralized way, but of course, it's not optimal. Now you know that blockchain is consuming a lot of energy, and of course, this way is low compared to existing systems, because it could be not efficient because of this size of this technology development, this decentralized way. But of course, there are much more research for developing scalability things. For example, changing the proof of work that is backing the blockchain today for other methods like proof of stake that saves quite a lot of energy, and as well other methods like rollups that enhance the side chains that enhance the speed. So today, let's say that blockchain is quite safe. It's not efficient. It's consuming a lot of energy, but the new researchers are developing new blockchains that are safe, are faster, and way more cheaper than the original invention. As said, today only blockchain has these 15,000 nodes. There you see, let's imagine 15,000 copies of the ledger from the originals, from the beginning of blockchain, for the old Bitcoin transactions. And you see the distribution, where are distributed in places like even Russia or China, less China, but very many in Europe or in America, everywhere in the world, they're hosting nodes. That's the strength of this technology. From the beginning, that blockchain was initiated in 2008, has been a constant evolution, and there has been new technologies happening. For example, the case of Ethereum, that is the programmable, the programmation on a blockchain. So the difference, and that's a key difference and a strong difference, and with a lot of added value, is that Bitcoin secures transactions and signature for transactions, but then you have as well the capability for implementing programming on a blockchain and automating with the so-called smart contracts, programming on a blockchain with all the benefits of securitization provided by a blockchain. This evolution is constant, so we have new systems, and Ethereum and Hyperledger, there are two different approaches to the implementation of the original Bitcoin protocol, are now the leading platforms for most of the applications you will see in the industry, and today as well in the marine industry. As you can see, that the blockchain has a lot of followers, and the technologies that are improving, trying to improve some of the likes of blockchain. As well, there are other technologies that are as well decentralized, but with that are implemented differently at level of transaction, not at blockchain, at blocks, and they are called in general. So the general term is the distributed ledger technologies. So blockchain is a type of distributed ledger technology, but take in mind there are many other technologies coming up, blossoming, with new solutions to make it more energy efficient than is Bitcoin in the case of blockchain. For Bitcoin, moving to other what's called not proof of work consensus. So that's a little bit how the evolution is going. And don't if sometimes somebody's claiming blockchain isn't efficient because it consumes a lot of energy. That's true, because that's the original protocol. But in the category of distributed ledger technologies, there are very many innovations that are smoothing this quite quickly up. So let's talk about how this technology is being adopted and how it's moving from the original applications to others. The growth of this, you know that at the beginning, Bitcoin is the original currency. There have been now thousands of currencies, and the growth of the cryptocurrencies is exponential. All started at the beginning like the sludged stones of 5,000 years ago that were worth nothing, but through the time, thanks to the powerful blockchain or DLT platform, where it introduces this safety, security, and transparency, then you can trade, and then when you can trade with that currency in the long term, it gains value because it gains attraction and trust from a community of users. Just let imagine of this growth. When I was working with virtual currencies, I was working in 2014. 15 with the most important currencies at the time that they were not blockchain. That was the beer in Switzerland and the rest in Belgium. And these currencies needed more than 50 years to hit a very important milestone of 4,000 million euros a year of transactions with these currencies. So it was quite impressive at the time, pretty impressive. But then suddenly I realized that at the same year, in 2014 or 15, there was, in less than 5 years from its conception, Bitcoin had already flipped this figure. So let's imagine 50 years and with a new technology, 5 years. So it called for my attention. That's why I got interested and entered into the blockchain. What happens 5 years later, in 2020, that Bitcoin had hit 25,000 million euros a day. So let's imagine it was 5 times a day. So 2,000 times what he got 5 years earlier. So the growth was 2,000 times with something that was already remarkable. But what was important is that the followers, Ethereum, that introduced its own token on a programmable platform of like the smart contracts platform, that was born in 2015. In 5 years, was already 300 times faster than blockchain. And all the followers that imagine Tether, that was the tokenized version of dollar that was created only 3 years ago from 2020 and already bypassed Bitcoin. So this is what we're talking is about exponential growth. And still we are in the beginning of the adoption of these currencies, but the adoption is exponential. Exponential means that we're going faster and even faster. A new technology that came up in the last 2 years, it's called the decentralized finances with their own tokens. Look at this impressive growth. Like in May the last year, 2021, there were new tokens associated to DeFi like Uniswap, already flipped Bitcoin, but only in the matter of months, October 2021 or February, just 2 weeks ago, I was checking, and the more and more currencies of this new technology on a blockchain are flipping and bypassing, as you see, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is accelerating. So we're talking about acceleration over the acceleration. So this is what is happening now. And so all these benefits is what we plan to take them back to import to other industries. So it was difficult so far. Well, I just explained the foundations of blockchain because I think it was worth to understand that blockchain is about information system that with this decentralized way of working introduces new possibilities despite of this complexity at the beginning, and these possibilities are really demanded by the market. So back to essential, this introduces this immutable data and transparency and trust among all who is trust. So this the benefits, the things that introduce blockchain are trust. So this is repeated very many times. Transactions are processed in a centralized manner and validated by the network. We've seen how it works. The integrity of the data is protected by use of cryptography, immutability, because the nodes keep a record of all transactions that cannot be modified. We see the consensus algorithms, that's the way, so how the nodes validate and check, and so that everything is valid. It's transparent because all transactions in the registry are available to be consulted. Anyone can have access. It's not you ask somebody, please give me the data, and that power that you delegate to him is something that gives him some advantage to change the data as they please. So no, you have access. No way the data could be changed because you access directly. And decentralization and safety, all these great things that happen with the blockchain. So let's talk about trends of blockchain and the applicability to industry, because as I introduced, blockchain is hot right now. The industry is growing at over 70% in the recent years, and blockchain is no longer only relevant to cryptocurrency, because these blockchain-based applications are emerging to support many other scenarios that require decentralized data storage and accessibility. The projection is that in 2023, 35 of enterprise blockchain applications will integrate decentralized applications. We're not talking about shifting. We're not talking about replacing. We're talking about, in the case of data with multiple parties, there will be the introduction of this approach that need to be integrated, of course, to the existing legacy systems. The rewards are simply too high to ignore and far greater than the costs. You see now how it's happening. Now we're living in blockchain the phase of irrational exuberance with many proof of concepts, high-profile successes is being verifying. The growth is 2-3 digits, of course, because the industry was small. The blockchain industry is blossoming at the beginning, and now we're entering into a phase of larger focused investments. So that today you will see the case of Mars that now is entering into this phase 2, and as the iceberg tip that many follow, many blockchain innovations will follow, and of course in the long term, in a decade, will be the full deployment of this technology. This is what we're living, and as you can imagine, that's the growth, projected growth, and the share spending. But the most important lecture is that despite being the financial applications, the first in class, the first that are being benefiting from the blockchain, the manufacturing and distribution and services are the ones who are following with a strong interest, and the public sector, of course, always lagging. But supply chain and then by definition as well, the marine sector are entering into this opportunity. What's the reality of in 2021? So the reality is that still many organizations haven't used blockchain at all. That's true. Still, we are at the beginning. We're in the innovators phase. But you can see that the most interesting thing of this lecture is that the applications of blockchain today, most of them are not currency. So despite of the birth, the cradle of blockchain was money, Bitcoin, and much of innovation comes out from there. Get in your minds that the most interest now is about shipping, about extending the application of blockchain to other domains. Faster innovation. So remember that at the beginning, blockchain was the first technology that created the full category of decentralized ledger technologies. Then very few years later, started the smart contracts. It was about programming over a blockchain so that you benefit programs with all the advantages that these programs are secured, are nicely, their execution is validated in a consensus way, resilient way. So that's this execution, this converting all these nodes of the world into a global computer on behalf of everybody that are putting the logic, the business logic on a blockchain is the revolution that's happening with the smart contracts. And through the smart contracts, I've been Ethereum the first in class, and it has many followers now. There were new benefits, new technologies happening now. Is about the tokenization. It means at the beginning of the smart contracts, there was there started a couple of definitions of tokens with the standard ERC20 for the fungible tokens and ERC721 and 21 for the non-fungible tokens. That it was at the beginning something minor, but in the years had converted into something that nobody saw it coming. So tokenization now is very strong, and I will make some hints about the impact of this disruption, and as well that these new things like DeFi, these decentralized markets and approaches, that these two things, tokenization and DeFi, and in fact everything is happening on smart contracts on a blockchain. New things happening now is this is what I'm talking. Tokenization is in 2017. DeFi MM is 2018-19. Not zero knowledge proof. This is very recent. I mean, it's a versus, as you know, it's hot just at the beginning now in 2022. This zero knowledge proof is about how can you develop reasoning or smart contracts to prove things without revealing all the information. For example, you can prove you are older, you are senior more than 65. Without having to show all the data, when was your birth date and where you were born, and without revealing all this information, but create a process that with the guarantees of the blockchain that this is properly calculated, and in fact you are senior user for benefiting whatever benefits you are with serve for. So this type of zero knowledge proof, it's the new technologies that are happening now to make many validations and verifications without having to reveal all the information. And this is an ongoing process, and you're going to feel a great of many innovations. This is how it is triggered. This is the way it's triggered all these innovations. This is the adoption, the Gartner adoption curve that every year is being published nearly by Gartner. And so that you see here that all technology at the beginning create great expectations that peaked, and after that peak, of course, there's some sort of drop of disillusionment. It means that, oh, this is not really as good as expected. It really sucks. But then after that valley, then they enter into the plateau of productivity. Cryptocurrencies are there clearly in the plateau of productivity, decentralized applications and things The platforms are entering now, and we are living now this revolutions of the tokens, the non-fungible tokens, the tokenizations, the DeFi. All this is what they're living now. And but as I said, the promise is high, and still will need 2-3 years to see good results. But this is all happening. Tokenization is crazy. It's about started years ago with CryptoKitties, now with CryptoPunks and Bored Apes and many things. It's a process where very few people could understand, but it's happening. Remember, it's again and again happening the same. The largest stones of 5,000 years ago are now new pixelated tokens. In this case, are 10,000 of these pixelated images. That these images, once they were tokenized, it means that they were tradable on a blockchain, so that all the benefits of transparency, the ownership declaration, the rights respected, and things. This then a new market was blossoming, and so many people are paying enormous amount of money on this market. These good markets are global and without barriers. And this process of tokenization means that you spot something that might have value for someone else, and then you tokenize. Means you convert it into a blockchain item that is tradable, that is so that you have the benefits of protection that the blockchain technology gives to you. Then new economies and new technologies happen. So an example of this, in the case, well, this example what I've been talking to you is because the blockchain is creating what is called the Internet of Value. So again, so far we're living the phase of internet. That's, for example, in the case of music, or in the case of these tokens of CryptoPunks, they were for just image or video, sound or text, documents, things. That was information that was digitized. But then when you add blockchain, you talk about ownership, you talk about rights, you talk about obligations, you talk about value. And this is the thing, the disruption that is blockchain introducing to the internet thing. In the world of industry, then let's see how tokenization might work. And in fact, that's a real case of tokenization developed by a company that the name was OpenVino, and it's about wine. And what they decided is, as the entrepreneur had the problem of creating a new product, a new organic product that was difficult to be sold, that the middleman didn't want to buy his promise of this organic wine. They didn't accept prices over €1 bottle that he asked for funding his operations. And then he decided to move on try a blockchain approach. And what he did, he just took all the production data, all the audits, all the certificates, all the water, all the sun, all the organic treatments he was distributing and indulging its crops, its vineyards. Then all this information was uploaded on a blockchain so that everybody could have access, and with all the benefits of this information was true. Then he decided that after the crop to create a token with the promise of one token is one wine bottle, and started selling these tokens. This was the promise. So what happened? Then a new market happened. A new market means that everybody in the world, many people from India to China to Australia, America for sure. So and Europe. So they had access to the data. This was trustable. This trust, they raised expectations. And so the result that is that they were buying these tokens as a promise of the delivery of this wine bottle when it was already finally after the barrel was unbottled. So this is all the innovation we have here. What we have is a blockchain where you upload information so that, and then you automate over the blockchain the selling process with these tokens. And so the benefits of the entrepreneur, the owner of the company, was to cash in advance. So he got at the starting price of €4 the starting price. And now, as a process of these direct sales, there was automatic pricing. And now he's selling, I think the last time I saw the tokens were valued about over $14, 14 euros, I mean. So the thing is that there was, he bypassed the middleman, and the middleman now, when they want to buy wine, they say, okay, you have the market, go there, you have as prime access like others, buy there, and so the middleman now pay cash in advance like others, when former times he was not he was weak in their position, so he has stronger position. And as well with this new way of selling and the connection of the production and the sales into one is a new loyalty scheme. So he has now a strong customer base, very loyal, that trade each other. And you see, that's the way with the blockchain and in production has transformed his business. And many followers are trying to repeat the experience. So this is the thing. So once you see a highlight of technology and one highlight of tokenization, there are many more things, but just I focused in two of the stars of the properties of blockchain. So the next thing is how blockchain may fit the need of marine industry. I said this technology has a broad range of applicability. Now, in the marine industry, we need to focus on supply chain to be more efficient, to provide change and visibility of data, again, that is time-stamped and proved. And of course, aiming at reducing the industry operational costs with intermediaries and increased security. As well, should be open enough so that third parties like class society inspections, policy controls, and audits compliance should be in an easier way. So we'll see some examples. An example of Mars, for example. And this is what happened in the next presentation. So the thing is that what we have here is that the blockchain, when you introduce blockchain in the marine, it means a change of mentality. Because it's, as you can realize, it's something about re-intermediation, it's something about securing information. It requires this disruptive and transformative technology. It requires many agents in the processes that are being carried out. And you do that to create a trust, to create an environment of trust, because data is shared, is verified by the interested parties. And therefore the security, the integrity, and immutability are guaranteed. The trust is essential. I said, I've just seen it in once and again and again and again. All the systems have been gaining traction and gaining usage because of the trust. So it requires the responsibility of all the agents involved in the operation to share the relevant data in a safe and thoughtful manner to contribute to improve operations, increasing efficiencies, and optimizing resources. This is happening, something that happened a few years ago with the Web 2.0 revolution, where the companies like Google and Facebook and others that are using data to build up new businesses. The thing is that data is the most valuable resource. And with blockchain works precisely at the core of this, is that we secure the data, we do it in this distributed way, centralized way, but sharing data through a blockchain then can be with adding some levels of privacy in terms of that not all data should be accessible for everyone, but this could be related with smart contracts and with zero-knowledge proof technologies. Then we all benefit from that, because if we have a pool of, instead of silos, we have a pool of data, and this data is secure and tampered and automatable, then you can get away a lot of benefits. And this is the trend in industry. We're talking about, again, digitization, digitization and sensors, way more data, integration of players, and full, when you have a secure environment with full of data, the Internet of Things goes for the sake of adding floods and deluge of data, but data that needs to be curated, that needs to be secure, safe for automating on top of it from the integration point of view. And that's the thing. Blockchain technology in the shipping and logistics industry is about this. It's about sharing this data, getting more visibility about the knowledge you could have to automate your processes. Of course, it's a process. It's a post-digital technology, so it's about digitization of documents. Otherwise, blockchain, if there's no digitized documents or assets, it's not working at all. It needs this process to be fulfilled and to deploy smart contracts on top of this blockchain, on this data. First applications of the blockchain in supply and sales and leasing, apart from the connected living and Internet of Things, is about the goal of integrating many players in the supply chain to facilitate tracking of orders, eliminate errors in payment processing, and even integrate the full chain of feedback into for the benefit of all. So in 2021, this company, NSC, important company, lean company, shipping company, announced its adoption. So it's something that's very recent, the way BL, what they focus on the obvious thing. We need to apply blockchain. We need to fulfill the process of digitizing the documents. So this is a document creation platform that electronically transfer paper using blockchain technology. Only it's sort of mirroring the traditional paper-based process. It's you will see it's common, and now we'll see the case of Mars, because it's about repeating more efficiently the same process that existed before of but substituting paper with some digital support. So we're now living the case. Remember the case of Spotify. So we are living music. We are living the cases of the first three stages, and just before entering into the blockchain, as well with the Pro Logistics and with Marx and IBM. They started in 2018, and they created a joint venture that the name is TradeLens platform. That's the same approach. That using digital tools to share information of container traffic with the help of the blockchain for transparency, for integrity, security, immediacy, and trust. It's today the claim benefit they deliver is they save 40% of transit time. So that's a good thing. These are good news. That's encouraging news. That after the application of this is really introducing benefits to the main industry, and this one is an ecosystem of more of today 300 organizations. So it's clearly a leader in the application of the blockchain. Let me see if I can execute this video meanwhile. Okay. So that's there's no sound, sorry, but I can explain it over you. The thing here, it's how they try to convert all the documents, the bill of lading, the one of the most important, but not only this one, but other paper related documents across over 20 agents that work at every harbor, and especially this trying to secure that the documents are filled and not being lost in the myriad of signatures and confirmations that happen in all this chain. So I think it's integrating in this implementation of this blockchain, creating this database of all the carriers and the handlers and and the drug companies and all the permits of all the authorities, as well the police. And the maritime authorities that need to deliver their own permits and check-ins, and that need to be synchronized in a fine way, so that there is the elimination of empty times, idle times of so many players that are waiting across the shipping process. So the thing is that they had the former experience in 2018. At the beginning, they just make a sort of substitution of the existing port administration system, and was not a complete success. But then they learned the lesson, and they learned that the only way was to work in a very open and natural way. It was not just one company like Maersk that is imposing his system to all the hundreds and thousands of providers over every port, the world. You see here all the agents that are being integrated, and so but then they change into a more collaborative, more openly sincere approach, so that everyone in this supply chain felt like this blockchain was part of them, was their system, was their common system, and now it seems that it's really really succeeding, and now I think the adoption looks like promising. I said recent, you can see at every day the new adoption of ports. Recently, for example, the port of Barcelona that was announcing its adoption, the Greek ports in the last few weeks, and more. So the thing is that now this approach with this promise of this 40% of transit time reduction is quite appealing, and because this is just the beginning of all the benefits that are being, especially in the case of international trading. Well then, this is the example of TradeLens. Keep this name with you, and well, I think we make a break. Or I think we spoke too much. Time for you for having your rest.
Time for you for maybe making some questions so far. You have seen the evolution of the revolution, or the continuous evolution of the blockchain from its start, and how it evolved, and where is it now. So please give us some feedback, or you can do it also later or during the sessions, of what you are thinking of, on what, if there are any thoughts. Otherwise, we will continue with the second part of the presentation, and go deeper into the applications, and talk about go into this, all the logistics, transportation, shipping, distribution, supply chain management issues, and how it works right now. You have seen TradeLens, one example so far. You will see other examples related more to reverse supply chain and circularity. This is the new trend in order to avoid marine waste and dumps by ships, in order to explore renewable energies, new examples, and yeah, maybe also we will touch the topic and when it is really worth to adopt blockchain, how maybe you are thinking already of your projects, and can obtain some first ideas on how this could be done how this could be done by you. Now we are continuing now. Anyways, because of the time schedules.
All right then.
So there is one question. Maybe we could shortly before we start go to this regarding the integration between various system architectures.
Yes. How does blockchain handle system integration between various system architectures? Absolutely, that's a problem. That's a problem, especially because the blockchain is a purely digital environment, and today the integration, business technology is not something straightforward. It cannot be taken for granted. So it goes case by case. In the case, so they need to be integrated in every PCS, productivity system, and today, so the first implementations go as external service over the PCS that secure the changes of data, and because it's a central point. So that's the way. So it's always working integration as a back system. Is not normally the front system, it's always a back system, and today it goes this way. Still, it's not the final solution, but it's the first step towards this implementation. True. All right then, so after this question, and great, thank you, Wisdom Souza, and let's move on to the next points. So why blockchain smart ports and cross-border shipping projects, man? That's a little bit what we want to talk about. It's so we'll use this inspirational a little bit. So why blockchain? Well, that's a video design. It's a follower of Trailline, so just to show more cases of what is going on in the point of creating blockchain over documents, over documents. Okay, so at this stage, the goal is to have as many stakeholders, such as terminal operators, forwarders, carriers, and so on, join the blockchain network now that initial tests have been done. So, yeah, the battery, please. Yes, this blockchain smart port project now shows how even in the relatively limited scope of container release, there are ample intermediaries, interactions, risks, and opportunities to improve lots of typical logistic challenges and make clear why blockchain is not just a solution for smart port projects, but for maritime logistics, as well as supply chain management overall, whereby blockchain and IoT, the Internet of Things, become a natural fit. The port of Antwerp reminded just getting a container from point A to point B frequently involves more than 30 different parties, with an average of 200 interactions between them. With the majority still happening on traditional channels and using lots of traditional traditional carriers, paperwork accounts for up to half of the cost of container transport. All the ingredients that make an industry and series of activities fit for blockchain are present, whether it's on this local blockchain smart project level or on a global cross-border shipping and logistics level. Let's say a lot of paper, a lot of transactions, interactions, the need of speed, the need for transparency, the need of enhanced security, protection, and tracking of valuable assets in trade, enhance efficiency, and so forth. So this is a little bit as why blockchain smart ports matter. Distribution, shipping, management rank high on the list of blockchain spending and blockchain initiatives right after the financial industry. All right. So again, what are the benefits for the core sector? It should simplify procedures. With smart contracts, allow automating and streamlining processes. Cost reduction, for sure, by lowering the time consultation processes and information consolidation. Eliminates risk, because we have a single true source of information, reduces errors, limits the manipulation, and increases the confidence. And the improves efficiency, the availability of verified quality information, making it possible to improve management of documents and efficiency of processes. And new things come up, new business opportunities. The services marketplaces, as you've seen in the case of OpenVino, this is going to happen as well in the marine industry. We have solution services, system agents that provides access to secure environment where the data is certified. And that's the thing. So it's not only for reducing costs, but as well for creating opportunities. As you see in the case of OpenVino, that's going to happen here in the marine industry. In this case, the supply chain, it looks obvious. Huh? We have so many documents, customer orders, contracts, logistic orders, bills of lading, shipment histories. And this enormous amount of documents that need securitization. It's part of the deal with the blockchain. But when you apply the blockchain, then you have this benefit. Of course, you have all the players connected in a way that was unprecedented. Time ago was not possible to have them all connected. There was always one leader that was imposing the system, in the case of Mars. But now you have a neutral point. You have something everybody can trust. Even regulators can go directly check over without having to require you enormous amounts of burden for every one of the agents, the actors of this chain. But as well, once the blockchain is applied, remember that is happening some new changes. It's because then you can reshape the production. If this is the regular way is being provided, that from the supplier with all the intermediaries, logistic point of view, till to end up in the retailer and the consumer. When we talk about when you fulfill the adoption of blockchain, then the chains get shorter. Get shorter means that with all the benefits, with less middlemen, reorganized middlemen, so that the supplier looks like he's selling directly to retailers or consumers. And as well, the suppliers can work in a different competitive way. It means not only competing, but even with smart contracts can reorganize production so that they could be more efficient and deliver goods of competitors because they produce better. But at the time, the competitors can deliver your goods. So that this for sure will introduce unexpected, unprecedented improvements in efficiency and even in the natural resources usage. And and then it doesn't retain regulators and other players to have access to information. So this burden at the time of the administrative burden should be, and it will be reduced. If I will see one case of this with the case of LTO in the Netherlands. As well for the international trademark, for international commerce, we have something that could be used for, in terms of blockchains. So we know the case of the Incoterms. Incoterms is simplification where all the roles and all what is expected with these 11 Incoterms promoted by the International Chamber of Commerce help to clarify the mission and the scope of the responsibilities for every actor. For example, the case that if you should deliver the goods at the works, at the seller's premises, or on the ship, or in the buyer's premises, all this are clearly stated with Incoterms. We have here an example of blockchain Incoterms in the case of the carriage pay to. This is one of the most common of the 11 Incoterms. That's very old. Proposition that we are using not the original one, 1936, but the one of the 2010 is one of 2020. One is the most recent ones in implementations. But the thing is that with this CBT Incoterm, the seller delivers the merchandise to the local carrier and then to the ship's carrier. So carriers the authorization tokens that are validated in the smart contract that the CBT is converted, so that the evidence of the facts are collected. So you change the process. It's here, you see here, yeah, we are moving. Once we know that we can develop blockchain on dealing with documents, let's try now to make, but documents so far were passive, were simply passive objects. It's just, it's a conversion into a document that an object that is being handled on a blockchain with all the safety benefits. But now we're thinking about how to convert the objects, the content, the documents into something alive. Smart contracts that implement these policies. Because when you convert the smart Incoterm, it's converted into a passport, it's what's called a smart contract. Then things change because here you have this object that is trying actively to fulfill all the requirements for all the actors. And all evidences are stored on these new tokens, and then you achieve the next level of automation. And you know that achieving the next level of automation is always bringing some benefits. For the benefits, you know, trade lanes, applying the approach, that today's leading approach of dealing on a blockchain with documents that are digitized. This introduced improvements with the reduction of 40% transit time, as well applying the same policy in other supply chains, for example, fresh products in the case of IBM for trust. There's impressive savings in the case of returns, when you have to deliver back goods that are not on shape or whatever dispute could happen, then the cost of returning is high. Now, when you develop it on a blockchain, then the reduction is 80%. Or if you need to guarantee the provenance of goods or provenance of products, especially, for example, you say, I ban, the case today we ban products from Russia. So how you check this, so that the provenance could be checked with less tampering, with less tricks. That's the thing of provenance. So the reduction of this fulfillment of provenance is guaranteed. Or YoE, that's an example of how you, once you have this information on a blockchain, then you use that data to optimize routes and save idle times, and so that the delivery time is reduced again, on top of all the benefits from 2 to 3 days to 1 day. So these things are coming up. Again, remember, in the process of the application of blockchain, then you have this extra benefits with the application of AI and more advanced implementations of the blockchain. This gives us a hint to enter into new opportunities. For example, new opportunities that is to convert waste into an opportunity. That's called the reverse supply chain. And circularity is on top of the core features of blockchain to make the most of MARPOL waste, the MARPOL protocol that tells how to manage with several types of waste. MARPOL 5 for organic and plastic, other MARPOLs 1, 2 chapters for oil and water and black waters. So you have the several protocols of something that was time ago simply dumped by the ship over the ocean. Let's imagine that the impact of this dumping over in the Mediterranean Sea, that's the poor sea. The thing is that this MARPOL protocol tries to save these dumpings, but then need to add extra help to all ships and carriers to fulfill this protocol. Otherwise, if they suffer from burden and then they tend to dump it all. So the thing is how to make it faster, but not only faster, but to convert it into a business opportunity with circular practices, and we'll see some examples. First thing, again, first implementation of blockchain, cutting costs. So let's see an example of cutting costs. Is an example of the international waste transport of LTO. LTO is a blockchain implemented for the Netherlands and Belgium border, and they accounted for 14 euros cost saving for transport and 7 million euros saved of especially eliminating the hard copy paperwork in the document heavy process. So you have here all these documents that so far the typical topical application of the blockchain with the securitization of documents and how this implemented on a blockchain with secure information, especially across borders, with all the authorities of the 2 countries and all the carriers and all the companies among them, how much they introduced the information and especially when they were checked in the on the road from the harbor or to the harbor in every one of the two countries. The verification of permits, the permits, the foreign accordance, authorities, accordance, and more. So this is the process of checking. Typically, it's about integration. So again, it's how you check the information you take on the road with the blockchain. Then you need, then there is the support of QRs and mobile technologies that have direct access to the blockchain. In this case, this is as well. So it's another system apart from the PCS. Now we're talking about external systems. So here you can check how this is controlled by authorities that are on the go, on the move between the two countries. So I think I will say this this case. Let's move on to another. Once we know that for sure with the blockchain you can save costs. Let's talk about more about income. So this is the case of Fortnite. It's more about once we got the detected, in the case, for example, of Marble 5, organic or plastic stuff. So how we tokenize it, we give it identity, that piece of that bunch of garbage, and how is tracked in the harbor and out of the harbor, because circularity is not just in harbors, in ports. So we go across, all the players, authorities, police, you have the maritime with all the permits for and the credentials for accepting the landing, and as well synchronizing with all those who are taking the garbage, the carriers in the port. They sort it out, they take it out of the port, it's sold for recyclers, and the recyclers create the primary matter that is sold at a good price, that all this price, like the music, in the case of the music royalties, is reverted to all the players in this chain. So it's about this, converting waste in value. Specifically, an example again of tokenization. You identify the product, and then you create, here you add new novelties, specifically not only the documental process, but as well the secondary markets that contribute with this extra value that is being shared with all the players in this chain. Another example of markets is promoted, for example, is one of the Port of Rotterdam. It's more about optimizing and managing the use of renewable energy, just validated with 20 million transactions on blockchain, where they try to learn the behavior of consumers, of the users, not consumers, the users of this energy, trying to enhance the usage of green, of solar in this case. They got the results, impacts reduced 11%, and the solar power generation was increased by 92%, using the income, with the raise of the income of local energy, renewable energy producers. So the thing is, here you see an example of that is the more and more we will go forward, not only the improvement of the process and documentary process, that will be the first milestone, and this is happening now. Next, gonna make new improvements in the terms of introducing new markets to save and create new business out of renewable sources, about waste, and as well about reorganizing the production lines so that all the benefits could be shared across all the players in those chains. Well, summing up, what is it worth to that blockchain? I've just been talking so nice about blockchain, but as you can imagine, not always is the benefit will come readily after the application of blockchain. So how the key is to grasp the collective nature of blockchain, circularity, and many players in the marine industry to build believable automated improvements for this industry. So I will share, I will admit, Liam, and I will share, Liam, welcome, a secret with you and with you all. So we know that secret, but I think you will keep it for you. When do we need the blockchain? When do we need this? We've been talking these concepts once and again and again. It's about having many participants. That's the nature, it's collective nature, where we share information through immutable registers, so that nobody can change it on their own interests, on dark interests. No, it's something you can use this information where there's some conflict of interest, because sometimes you are competing, or simply because we don't want to suffer the consequences of a bad action or bad thing or bad delivery. So there are conflict of interests, but that can be solved through uniform rules. So we can see how guarantees, how reorganizations, how things can work on this shared information by these many participants, and you let access by third parties, notably the public administration, for doing all the fulfillment. This will save an enormous amount of burdens if they can direct access to the blockchain instead of pestering us to deliver the infinite need of information and procedures. So these are the things that's why we need the blockchain. And with a simple rule, you will make it. Again, in my problem, are there multiple participants? No. It's only one. It's only myself, or it's only one partner. More than two? No, no blockchain. Use a centralized database instead. No need of blockchain. Digitization is good enough. Only yes, when you have multiple could be more than 2, 3, 4, 5, 7. The more the better. Yes. Then it's, well, let's think about hardline blockchain and what type of participants. They do trust each other. Then it depends. If the level of trust on each other, then you can apply a strategy on blockchain. If they do not trust, use a permissionless. If they do trust, you can use a permission. However, in the future, the permissionless, from my point of view, will be the most applied blockchain. Still today, we are talking with this dichotomy, these possibilities. The two representing the two platforms, leading platforms among hundreds now, but the two most important platforms of the two approaches will be Ethereum for the permissionless blockchain applications, and Hyperledger Fabric, the one of trade lands, for the permissioned applications. So when you have the two leading approaches. As this being this a masterclass, I've given you more criteria to apply blockchain. One is more structured, find the right case. Sometimes you don't have the answers right at the beginning, so you need to do a sort of pilot to check the application criteria. Here, you need a shared common database, multiple parties involved, do the parties trust each other, the rules, etc., etc. So then you can do it at the beginning, and once the pilot reassess. As well, this recommendation from the World Economic Forum, where you have more questions, more details to decide when to use a blockchain, when do not use it, or if you can use it, you need further check, further test, or if the case that definitely you need to apply, you could benefit from applying blockchain, it should be private, permissioned, or should be public. So you have here with this, I would not stand, just to tell you that for detail, you have the information. If you want to check it over with you, I'm happy to help you with this, assist with these 11 questions that will make this quick initial assessment. So the thing is that, again, remember in the lesson I've been introducing you the trends, the application of blockchain in the marine industry. So I took this International Port Community Systems Association claim that it reflects perfectly how it's today being developed. Today, supply chains are all about paper. So blockchains are the technology that could change this. Not only as a post a post-digital technology. Remember, however, the electronic networks and services provided by these power computing systems today enable up to 99% of all import-export processes to be paperless transactions. This gives enormous amount of benefit. But still, it is the remaining 1 or 10% of the cases that is the most difficult to be implemented. And that's the opportunity of the blockchain, because just or merely switching an existing digital process to blockchain would not deliver no significant benefits. That's the most important thing to keep into account. Need to fulfill some conditions, but according to the evolution, digitization is crucial. Then the remaining cases, blockchain is as a post-digital technology, and AI will give the new benefit, not only for saving costs, but most of the applications being applied today with the leading trade lines company of Mars. But as well, there are other trends that once you have blockchain, you can start exploring with new levels of automation. These new trends are with the adoption of non-fungible tokens and smart contracts, that they are shaped into the name of passports. These passports that tokenize the containers, tokenize the product, the real stuff that's being moved in this industry, and all this stuff then could be reorganized and be associated with secondary markets, associated with all these new technologies that convert in the case of circularity, waste into value, or in the case of containers, convert these products into new assets that are of uncalculable value. So, final remarks, the SWOT analysis. Here's details. This is always, they claim, don't show a slide with so many letters in it, but just let me summarize. I wanted you, as a report, to get this SWOT analysis. The weaknesses, of course, new technology, high costs with the new technology, because the thing is that difficulties in how it's integrated. There was a pertinent question in the break. This blockchain technology will suffer from problems of integration. So the thing is that they will be integrated in every ERP side on a bilateral basis, and so it will be integrated as a back office or back end system with all these created data facilities that today will be the first emerging line of applications. And but there's strengths for sure. This will be that these open data platforms that allows users in the system access to the public sector's information, which increases trust from the public. Of course, with this, we'll have new levels of automation, high solution capacity, and advanced logistic practices with reducing operating times and unnecessary movements. And this will be for sure one of the most important drivers for its short-term and mid-term adoption. Threats. Well, due to the nature of the blockchain, being it multilateral, being it requires many agents. As well, this is a weakness, so it's a threat. It requires interaction among institutional, political, and technological elements. So there are some issues for sure. Not everybody go at the same pace, and not everybody go around at the same adoption speed. So it's a risk of poor integration with other sectors, with others in the sector that can harm the port's operation, our inconsistent regional and national policy. So these threats. Yes, we are well living this. As well, the opportunities. Remember, acceleration, the growth in international trade, new business opportunities, new markets, as well as long as the blockchain technology matures, productivity will improve. So we'll have new services, as you see all the new trends of all these nifties and passports that are going for the sake of higher levels of automation, and adopting this technology will create a new efficient supply chain that's more sustainable to reduce pollution, and will continue with a lot of flexibility. So, competitive advantage, reduce costs of transportation, and a lot of benefits will happen. So, This is my final insights. And I think it's time for a great open discussion. For sure, there will be plenty of questions. I hope we'll have all time to answer and have a very vibrant discussion now.
Thank you so much for this presentation, for the many insights. We have all obtained right now. We are all seeing this digitized, greener and smarter industry in the future, thanks to the technology, I guess. So I'm inviting you to share some of your thoughts here after you have heard many of the details in the presentation. I think it's interesting now to see how there is, of course, this hype and the huge movement, and there are so many. There's a lot of interest for blockchain, and many of the players think, yeah, well, it's probably something I have to do. No, probably this is so hot. There must be something for me, no? And then it's not so clear in every case as you present that it's really necessary. So, but the maritime industry seems to be the adequate one in any case, no? Since there are always so many different actors connected. As it seems so far, very much focused on the digitization. There's a question related to the cost of implementation. I think this is a typical answer of it depends. The typical management answer. It depends. It depends on many things. I don't know if you can.
Yes, the costs, proof of concept. That's why there's so many being implemented. Are cheaper. Yeah, it's on average it ranges from 20 to 50K. That's that. But K-Euro, yes. So the thing is, well, that's on average just checking the qualifying and answering the questions whether that technology could save, could deliver those promises of cost reduction and things. Again, when you try to deploy this concept, then it takes quite a lot of implementation costs. A quick heuristic is that it should be multiplied by 10. So it ranges from 100,000 to 500,000. It depends, of course, on the application domain, but that's on average the typical the cost development, along with the change of the management of the change of the production, because this has deep impact. If you just do the documentary process, that's why it's starting there. It's not that critical yet, but still there's always a problem of iteration. So it could happen that you do not integrate the full chain, all actors, and still you need to patch some. For example, the maritime authorities, they are very reluctant to join, so you need to do specific patches to those cases. So when you enter this, it's a never-ending story of integration. That's true. So. Yeah, so the thing is that for getting the benefits you've been saying, so I could say after the checking that the usage of the utility in your business with this proof of concept, then yeah, it would range up to 100 million in the most of the cases. And in the case of maritime industry, you can imagine is then the costs. Then you get several one to figures higher because of the number of partners there.
That's the main point, no? The number of partners, as well as not only the cost related to it, but the strategy related, well, shared strategy, let's say, which is a critical point, and how you make it to move all the others to join the same platform, to share data. This is probably one of the biggest challenges. But we have seen in the case of IBM and Maersk, in the case of TradeLens, that the big players have the advantage in that concern, no? Because they are attractive enough, let's say, and they have this power on the market to animate and motivate their partners to join.
Yeah, that's the point. You're right. Let me see. There's another question.
Winston is again with us.
I will read it, or will you read it?
You read, come on.
Clearly can be demonstrated that blockchain provides improved security, reliability, and integrity for documentation surrounding the various elements of maritime shipping. But as shipping is an international activity, for the process to work efficiently, blockchain must be accepted by the wider marine industry and G-flag states, especially in the less developed countries. Does the IMO have a time-bound roadmap to enforce this technology like they have done for marine emissions? As far as I know, there is no adoption roadmap.
There is no adoption roadmap, but we know from some of the partners, for example, one of the examples you have, the example in this presentation of Navozim, they have been able to negotiate with IMO and to have, let's say, they approval and some enforcement of use of the blockchain technology. Does not mean that there is a roadmap, no, their own roadmap, but it seems that IMO sees the opportunity. So it's at least at the examples we have here, they have been, let's say, that at least they expressed their interest and gave some support to those projects.
Excellent.
So that's Vincent so far, but you are right. That was what we were longly and shortly commenting about this specific characteristic of this technology, which is, let's say, is a collective effort. It needs this collective effort, and without having without considering any borders, because but considering it in the.
But it's right that this technology that has this deep impact into the business organization. Of course, I already said in the SWOT analysis, it's part of the weaknesses. The collective nature, that's the strength, at the same time works as a barrier for the adoption, because you need to be many to get the benefits out of it. Yes, so there will be a time for getting everybody in this chip.
Yeah, but probably let's say the parallel you are making through all the presentation, showing the other industries on how the digitization process changed the way how the value is created, how business is created, is probably something what is actually going right now in the marine industry, where we see, okay, there's a lot of digitization for the obvious need to make all these long, difficult processes shorter. There's a lot of paperwork. There's not only, let's summarize paperwork, all the different burdens, administrative burdens, and all the things which need to be done. So here is the value is clear. So everyone, let's say, he sees this from the beginning. But then, of course, it's interesting to see this value creation is something what is just happening right now, where these digitized objects start to have value themselves, no? And there is this future you are predicting of self managed digital objects, no? Where they're more smarter and more intelligent and can do some things right away without our interference, no? In that sense, and this is post digital technology as you understand it. So I think there is it is a passionate way probably in front of us. We will see more and more pilots. Many of the actors will jump on this train.
Yes.
Definitely, because it's not just a matter of initial costs, which for a pilot are not that high. Later on, they are high, but as the industry transforms and some of the relevant actors are already there, you cannot not be there. So this is probably
I've shown you that all the adoption of these technologies are based on trust. So at the beginning, trust is the most difficult thing to be built up, but then the adoption is exponential. So this will, if this follows the same, that all the examples I've been showing you, this will happen the same. So today, being post-digital means that in most cases, in one of the three countries, for sure, they will claim, oh, first I need to digitize the process before I adopt blockchain. And that will be true. But the same process, but this is happening. They will be very slow, building up trust, but then will happen like this. Will happen in a few years, suddenly will be a brute adoption. And if this industry, perhaps it's different than the others, but if it's like the others, this will happen. So it's very slow in the starting point. Now we're living in this very slow, flat process because it's post-digital. So every time you try to adopt blockchain, in very many cases say, oh, but first we need to adopt or deploy fully the PCS system or fully all this digitization. But then for sure, when you will see some of the successful cases with all these wonderful savings and all this business opportunity, adoption will just skyrocket. Timeline, 10 years. So, and for sure, amazing industry could take longer, but still will be in the range of years, not of decades.
Maybe one point, the policymakers, of course, can give more push. Well, at least at the European level, we do see some efforts from the union. No, there are all the standardization processes which are going on, and the different many varied networks on experts every time bigger and more important. So I think that the advantages are understood. No, so now is the way to follow. And David wants
last question
from you. Okay. You're welcome.
Well, in writing, I think these images I've been giving will be quite aligning, seeing that that all these industries need this process of adoption, but takes this time. In most of the industries, blockchain, would we say that bottlenecks would be eased? That's the promise. That's the promise. But of course, there's always a corner of suspicious. No? That's for sure. There will be the next generation of problems. When you speed up something and you do it faster, then there will be other bottlenecks. A blockchain is only a way to automate with data that is with a fully wide vision of data. So you can find out solutions. So this is only the path to give you with solutions. So what will be the next bottlenecks? For sure, there will be next bottlenecks. But the promise is that with the blockchain, we will have all the data to develop new solutions like AI-based solutions to fulfill or solve these potential bottlenecks. There will be always bottlenecks because this is part of life. Life is always struggling. It's like a drop trying to span over land. The water is always moving. Where is the fastest and easiest way to go down to the sea? There are always barriers. But yes, there's a promise is that the barriers we know today, they will be fixed.
Thank you as well, all the people for being here. Let me remind you at this point, before maybe we make the final remark, that you will receive, we have your email addresses, the people who have registered, you will receive the materials shared today with you, and as well the opportunity to continue our discussion in a maybe more intimate framework in one-to-one sessions where we can go deeper in any conceptual issue, or maybe more practical as well, to see how could I, if there questions appear in the sense of how could I apply blockchain to my project or my company, or would it make sense for me? We can also go into these details, as I told you. At least we at Blueroom Innovation try to add blockchain to the different projects. So we are often in front of this question, and I'm looking for answers. It's a new technology. There's a lot to learn about still. Of course, there are not. We don't have all the answers, but there are many ways already, many paths we have done or other people have done, and now it's time to learn and construct and build together. So this is the time in which we are active right now. And yeah, thank you, Professor La Rosa, for your time and for the convincing presentation of why we all need blockchain and marine industry especially. I hope that all of you have
in the future, all those companies will live on the blockchain. That's the promise of very high levels of automation, and that's we will experience. And just say thank you for your time, for your patience, and hope to see you all in exploring and creating new business opportunities, and new technology opportunities, and new societal opportunities with blockchain. Thank you to you.
Thank you. All the best, people. Goodbye. Greetings.